So this is something that, to my knowledge anyway, you can't actually buy in CEX. At least if you search it up on the app, you can't. There is every possibility that they sell it. I just don't know how you would go about finding it.
Let's go! Yahoo!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the free training game collection, the series where I look to build a video game collection without spending any money out of pocket. If you want to know how we do that, then check out the playlist linked down below. It's all there for you all the way up to where we are now from episode 1 if you've missed any of the episodes, or you want to just start from the beginning. It's there for your convenience, hopefully. Normally, what I like to do is go to car boot sales, Facebook and charity shops, pick up some things that we can flip on to make our money back, and if there's anything left over, game-wise anyway, we can put it into the collection, or indeed take it to CEX, trade it in, get a voucher, and then pick up the games that we want. There's going to be a lot of trading in to do in the next couple of episodes, but today, I want to get all my car boot sale pickups out of the way. I was actually meant to go to one yesterday. Unfortunately, it was called off due to high winds. I went to Bristol anyway, because the car boot sale was in Bristol, and it was a little bit drizzly, but it wasn't really that windy. And to be fair, they never really call the boot sales off in Bristol. They will have them on if it's literally if it's pissing down, they'll still do it. They don't care. But for some reason, they called it off really early. So I went there anyway. I looked around loads of different charity shops, went to trade some stuff in and things. However, all the footage that you're about to see is from last week, I think. So I had a really good week last week. That's actually when I picked up the PS3. If you've missed that episode, picked up a PlayStation 3 with the wires, or with the power lead anyway, for a tenner. And it turns out it was all working, not a problem, worked fine. Didn't have a controller, but we already have a PS4 controller in the collection. In fact, we have two. One of them is badly damaged with stick drift, but the other one is perfectly fine. And yeah, it works nice. So that's hooked up at the moment to my CRT. Like I said, we'll probably look to pick up some games for that in the future. However, that wasn't the only video game pickup that I had in this boot sale. I went to the usual video game guy who's there every single week. He manages to get his hands on some pretty nice stuff. We do a really good deal with him. I come out of this one on top, which isn't usually the case. But if you remember back, I managed to pick up Mario Strikers, I think it was, on the GameCube from him. Picked up Micro Machines boxed on the N64 from him as well. Sold that for a decent little profit. And quite a few other little games here or there that I managed to get from him. So look out for that one. I'll show you that in just a second. However, first, there was they're always there. I think it's a mother and son. And they're always at the boot sale selling random stuff. Now and again, they'll have video games. In fact, I picked up Winter Olympics last year on the Mega Drive from these, and they don't normally have like crazy good stuff at this boot sale, but they had loads of games this time. There were games everywhere, and they were telling me that they bought out a video game store that were going under, and they bought all the stock, and this was all the fodder stock. And frustratingly, they were saying that they were going to go to a different car boot the next day and take all of the Switch games, which I was, I was very, very unhappy about that because I had money on me and I wanted to buy some stuff, and I probably would have. They had one Switch game on them. It was Skywalker Saga, I think, and they wanted like 20 quid for it. It was brand new and sealed, which was actually a really good deal, but not a game I wanted. So I had a look at the quote-unquote fodder. Found Fight Night Champion. Unfortunately, the spindle was completely cracked to bits, so that was pointless. And I was looking around some other games, and I thought, look, these are £1 each. Everything that you see on the floor, £1 each. There were some decent games there, but there was too much. Too many for me to look at and to sort of decompress and compile, I should say, in my brain. So I picked up 10. I didn't necessarily pick up the ones that I thought were going to be valuable. I just picked up the 10 that I wanted to put into the collection. So, without any further ado, let's just jump back quickly and go through those 10 games. I picked up mainly all 360 games. At that point, I hadn't bought the PlayStation. So, in my mind, I didn't have a PS3. There were PS3 games there, but I didn't really look at them. I glanced to see if there were any of the big hitters that maybe they'd overlooked. I couldn't see any of those. There may have been some like £3, £4, £5 games there that were worth picking up maybe to trade in, but I didn't really look at them. I was looking at 360, I was trying to find the games that I wanted for the collection, and I glanced at the PS4. I actually did end up picking up 2 PS4 games, none of which are actually worth crazy money. I'm going to show you those first. I've had this before. This is Killzone Shadowfall. It's a Killzone game. Obviously, you have to have it at some point. I do quite like the Killzone games, so I haven't actually tried this. I'll give it a go at some point. But for £1, not leaving that there. If you buy this in CEX, it's going to cost you a little bit more than £1. And the other PlayStation 4 game was Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Again, I haven't played this. I've got no real idea of how good it is. However, for £1, I think it trades in maybe for 160, and it's the same with Killzone as well. Maybe they sell it for £4 if memory serves. But it's definitely worth picking up for £1. Let's move on to the Xbox 360 stack. I have 8 games to go through very quickly. I'm not going to dwell on these. 2, I think, are potential fails. They're not fails in the sense that I'm going to lose money here because I paid £1 each. If you want to go to CEX and get these, they're probably going to cost you more than £1, one of which will cost you considerably more than £1. The first one is a Rugby Challenge 3. This is the England edition, something I didn't notice when I picked it up. I'm not a massive fan of rugby by any stretch of the imagination. I don't sit down and watch Six Nations or Club Rugby or anything. But when it comes to video games, I do quite enjoy popping one in every now and again and just having a quick game. But I know nothing about the Rugby Challenge series. This one, like I said, a potential small fail because it's not worth as much as I thought. I thought it'd be worth about 4 or 5. It's not. Haven't played the second, have played the first. I quite enjoyed it for what it was. It is Prototype 2. Now, if memory serves, Prototype came out around April. I'm just completely guessing with that, but it wasn't around the time that the big boys come out. It was a game that came out with nothing else around it. No other games came out. I played it a lot because it was the newest thing I could play. There was nothing else out. Prototype 2 kind of passed me by. I don't know why. Maybe they tried to release it at a popular time and it just got overtaken by other things. But that should be a fairly decent game if the first one's anything to go by. We'll talk about a wrestling game now. I want to get most of the wrestling games on the Xbox 360. Not necessarily the 2K series, but this one right here, SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 by THQ. These are the games I remember playing. 2007 actually has a little bit of value to it. It's worth about £5 or £6. This one in CEX, I think is worth a couple of quid. Nothing amazing, but for £1 again, I think it is indeed. It is complete with the manual and the disc is in good condition. I only picked them up if the discs were in good condition. That's why I left Fight Night Champion, unfortunately. I'm still on the lookout for that game, but that for £1 is not bad. There are an awful lot of good races on the Xbox 360, loads in fact. This one is World Rally Championship, just World Rally Championship. There are 2, 3, 4 and 5 and maybe even more. I don't know how many of them are on the 360. This is decent for what it is. They all start to sort of merge into one after a while. I don't know if this is complete actually. Oh, it is complete. And of course, like I said, the disc is in good condition because I checked them all over before I bought them. £1, not bad. Not great either though. Now, unfortunately, this one is a classics, and I'm not a huge fan of the way that the spines look because they've sort of greyed out. It is Borderlands Game of the Year edition though, complete with the manual, but as you can see, it's got that sort of grey thing. It just doesn't look very good. I do have another classics to show you in just a second as well, but I had to pick that one up. But yeah, Borderlands, love the cell shading in Borderlands, but I will admit, I've never played a Borderlands game. So these next two are part of a series that I want to collect. There are quite a lot of them and they do span over certain generations of consoles, starting on the PS2. It's Need for Speed. The first one is going to be Hot Pursuit and the second one is The Run. That was very well done. I haven't actually played The Run, so I've got no idea whether that's actually any good, but I have played Hot Pursuit and it is something that I'd quite like to get on the Switch as well. CEX have that on the Switch for 25. I just picked it up for £1 on the 360. I ain't paying 25 quid for it. And then the final game in the Xbox 360 pickup is a game that we technically already own. It's a 2-discer. It is Oblivion, however, it is the Game of the Year edition, but with a twist. This is the German Game of the Year edition. I will probably keep this. If you put it in, it's going to ask you to select your language, so you can just select English. It's not going to be a problem. It's just the case that's German. It's still PAL, obviously. 10 games, £10. Pretty good deal. However, it's not as good of a deal as the next one. This next deal was pretty nice. So I'm having a look through this video game stall. He sells loads of different things as well. We're looking at like toys and Lego minifigures and collectibles and things, and also DVD, Blu-ray. But he has a lot of games. And like I said, I've bought Mario Strikers on the GameCube from him before. It was disc only, and there were a few other things as well I've bought off him. And, you know, it serves me reasonably well. Everything's open to negotiation. He has fairly firm prices, knows a lot about what he's selling as well, and if he doesn't know, because I did ask him about a certain Mega Drive game, and I've forgotten what it is. I can't remember, Atom Runner maybe? I can't remember what the game was, but he didn't know about the price, so he looked it up, and wildly overpriced it, unfortunately, because in CEX I think it was like 20-25, and he tried to charge me 50. I say tried to charge me, he asked for 50. Everything's negotiable. I'm pretty sure if I'd said 35, 40, he probably would have taken it, but unfortunately it was still way too high, and it was sun damaged, so yeah, I was always going to leave that one. But he does let the odd things slip through the net, and he did on this occasion. Now, Mega Drive wise, I don't think I have footage of the Mega Drive game that I picked up from him, because it was they were separated for some reason. He had some Sega Saturn stuff, some really nice Sega Saturn stuff that I didn't ask about. One of the games is, I think, worth between 80 and 100, maybe even a little bit more. I probably should have asked on the off chance that he'd undervalued it, but I'm almost certain that he wouldn't have. It would have been, and I didn't really have that much cash on me anyway, even if he'd said 50 quid, which would have been an insanely good deal. But I think Tailspin, they had a loose Sonic game in there as well, and I think Micro Machines was the other game that you may have already seen at some point here. Lots of DS games, 3DS games, but most of the 3DS he had priced at £10, apart from the Pokemon, which were obviously going to be a little bit more. Mario Kart 7 was 10, and I think he had New Super Mario Bros. 2 potentially for £10 as well, which is actually not a bad deal. It's not too bad at all. But again, my money was limited at this point because I'd already been and bought the PlayStation. We picked up those games, so I'd spent 20 quid already. I'd already bought a few other things there that weren't anything to do with the series. So my money was dwindling somewhat. I had about 30 quid left, and I wanted to pick up a Mega Drive game. I knew that. So we landed on one that I think I got really good value for money. So this is something that, to my knowledge anyway, you can't actually buy in CEX. At least if you search it up on the app, you can't. There is every possibility that they sell it. I just don't know how you would go about finding it. It is a Mega Games compilation. Now, we already have Mega Games 1. I'm looking for it on the shelf. I think that's got Super Hang-On World Cup Italia 90 and Columns, which is basically Sega's answer to Tetris. This one, however, is Mega Games 2. All three of these games are absolute bangers, and if you try and buy them individually, it's going to cost you, I think one of them is 15, the other two are 20 each, maybe a little bit more. It is Mega Games 2. This is, in my opinion, the best Mega Games collection that there is. This was £12. He wanted 15. I said, would you do 10? He was umming and ahhing. He was like, I was like, fine, would you do 12? And he was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll do 12. Now, I don't know, I'm guessing it did, because Mega Games 1 comes with 3 individual manuals. This doesn't come with the manuals. The artwork on the cartridge itself is horrific as well. Not the condition of it, the condition of it is fine. It looks ugly, I just don't like it. But this has The Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage, and Golden Axe. 3 absolute staples of the Sega Mega Drive. The Revenge of Shinobi I never had on the Mega Drive as a kid. I had it on the Game Gear. It was a very, very hard game, but I loved every single second of it. And that was one of the last times I actually ever sat down and played handheld properly until recently. But Revenge of Shinobi I think is £15 in CEX on the Mega Drive. They had it in, I think Bedminster CEX that I went to yesterday. They had it in there, but by the time I got there, it had gone. I was very upset about that. That was a day of upset, that was. But Streets of Rage, which we don't have, and Golden Axe, which we don't have. Golden Axe, I know, is £25 in CEX. So this for 12 quid. I do want to pick up the individual games of these. Even though I knew I had Revenge of Shinobi, I still would have picked up the individual. And then once I can get the other two, I will probably sell this. But for £12 for me to be able to play them right now, I put Streets of Rage on the other day, and I didn't even play it for the first 20 minutes. I was just stood there listening to the music. It is so nostalgic. It actually makes me a little bit teary just watching, or rather listening to the music, especially coming out of something like a CRT with the sound quality and everything. I love it. And yeah, what a game collection that is. For £12, that is such good value for money. But we're not done there, because I walked away. £12 on that. I thought, right, I got 18 quid left, I think. Well, actually, I didn't know how much I had left. I was walking away, I was counting my money like a child, seeing how much of their pocket money they had left. Had my wallet open, was counting all the pound coins I had left. I was walking away. My wife had buggered off at this point. She was like, I'm going, I've had enough. So she gone off. I was looking to try and find her. And I had a look, and I thought, you've got 18 quid left. You've been around this boot sale 20 times. There's nothing left for you here. Go back and see if you can get something decent, maybe to trade, or a game that you didn't think maybe to put into your collection before. So I remember seeing something, and it was in the PS4, Xbox One section. There are certain games on the PlayStation 4 and indeed the Xbox One that you may not think has a lot of value to it. So you need to look nearly everything and anything up, right? So, but I knew that this one particular game had value, especially on the newer consoles. You can get the game that I picked up on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, but on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, it commands a much higher price, and I'm guessing they didn't do that many of them, and that's why it's as expensive as it is. He had a sealed Sonic Colors. Pokemon? I've got Pokemon on the brain recently. He had Sonic Colors sealed on the Xbox One. I've got no idea how much it was. He doesn't price anything, you have to ask him, and if I asked about every single game, I'd be there until Christmas, which wouldn't be a bad thing, because I love Christmas. But the game in question that I picked up, he wanted 20 quid for. I didn't have 20, I had 18. Will you do 18? Yeah, go on then. Banging. It is Deadpool on the PS4. Now, if you cast your mind back a very, very long way, you'll know that we've already had this once upon a time. I had no intention of keeping it then. I think I picked up a few PS4 controllers and a bunch of games from someone for 50 quid. We sold and traded the controllers. I think 2 of them worked, 2 of them didn't. Traded 2 of them, sold 2 of them, and then traded all the games in, maybe kept 1 or 2 of them. This was one of the games. This traded in for a substantial amount at the time. It might have been £15-18. It now trades in for 23, and they sell it for 35. That is a lot of money to be paying for this game. I say that, I've never actually played it, so I've got no idea whether it's any good or not. However, this time, I'm going to keep this. Now's the time to give it a go. If in the future I decide I don't really like it, then fine, I will get rid of it, I will trade it. But for £18, knowing that I'm already £5 up on the deal in terms of trade, and if I look to sell it on eBay, normally CEX prices are a little bit inflated because they consider the fact that people are going to be trading in to get them. Whereas eBay, of course, you can get it for the actual going rate. This is roughly, the going rate is the same prices as CEX, and you'll find that with some games. For example, Mad Games Tycoon on the Switch is actually undervalued in CEX compared to what you get it on eBay for. You have to pay nearly double the price on eBay to get that on the Switch. But Deadpool goes for between 30 35 on eBay, so my money is more than safe. And in fact, if I sold this, it would pay for all of those games I got and the Mega Games 2. But I am going to keep it. Originally from Cash Converters, there is a price on the back, but it's been half ripped off, so I don't know exactly how much it was. But I'm kind of happy about that. Not a massive Marvel fan, as you know. I will not sit there and watch the films, but in terms of the video games, I've always really liked the Marvel video games. Apart from games like Avengers and stuff, I'm not really that bothered about those. But Spider-Man, Deadpool, possibly, Wolverine, and then of course we move over to DC. The Batman games are quite enjoyable as well. I love the combat in those, so I'm hoping at least this is going to be good. If you've played this, let me know in the comments if it's any good. The way that we do it, of course, is we have a cash balance in this series, so what we're going to do is deduct £40 from the cash balance, the cash profit in this series, if you will. And now all of them are free, and they go into the collection. I am going to add the value of these to the collection based on CEX prices. This, however, I don't have the luxury of doing that because it isn't on the website as far as I can find, so I'm just going to add £12. Was that a good price for this? I mean, on eBay I think you could probably get it for around 12-15, but to have it there in my hands and to be able to take it home straight away and play it, I was always going to do that. I'm happy to find things in the wild, even though you can generally get better deals for most things on the internet, places like eBay, Vinted and whatever. Finding them in a boot sale or in a charity shop or something, or even go into a Facebook Marketplace pickup, is always more appealing to me than just clicking a few buttons and ordering it online. Really happy with those games that we're adding to the collection. However, that is just the tip of the iceberg for quality, because I have an incredible Vinted pickup coming up very, very soon. I couldn't quite believe it. A subscriber actually pointed it out to me, and I have benefited massively from that. It arrived yesterday and I am overwhelmed with how good it is. I've got a really good Facebook deal pickup coming very, very soon as well, and some mammoth trades in CEX to be made. So look forward to those. If you have enjoyed today's episode though, do me a favour and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new of course, and until the next time, goodbye.